At 8:13 on a rainy Saturday morning, Marcus Reed was drinking coffee alone when four little girls walked up to his table. The smallest one placed a crumpled $20 bill in front of him. Then she looked directly into his eyes and whispered, "Please be our dad for just one day." Marcus almost laughed, until he noticed that all four girls were crying, and then one of them said something that made his smile disappear. "Because if you say no, Mommy is leaving us." Marcus slowly put his coffee down. He had no idea who these girls were. He didn't know that their mother was one of the most powerful CEOs in Boston. And he certainly didn't know that before sunset. He would be forced to choose between walking away from four frightened children or becoming the family they had been waiting for their entire lives. Marcus Reed had become an expert at loneliness, not the kind people noticed, the quiet kind, the kind that happened after everyone else went home, the kind that waited for him in his apartment after his 8-year-old son, Noah, fell asleep. Marcus was 36. He worked as a mechanic for the Boston Transit Authority. He fixed buses, changed brakes, replaced damaged parts, worked long shifts, and came home every night to a small apartment where one bedroom belonged to Noah, and the other belonged to memories Marcus had stopped talking about. His wife had left 2 years earlier. She hadn't died. That might have been easier. She had simply decided she wanted another life. Noah stayed with Marcus, and Marcus never spoke badly about his mother. But after she left, something inside him changed. He stopped trusting promises, stopped making plans, and stopped believing that someone could choose him and actually stay. Every Saturday morning, Marcus took Noah to his grandmother's house. That was the only morning of the week Marcus had to himself. So he went to the same little coffee shop near the harbor. Same corner, same chair, same black coffee. He called it his 30 minutes of peace. That morning he was staring through the rainy window when four girls suddenly appeared beside his table. He looked up. They were all around 6 years old. 4 sisters, 4 different expressions. One wore pink glasses. One had 2 neat braids. One clutched a stuffed rabbit, and the smallest had a yellow raincoat that was obviously too big for her. Marcus looked around. "Where's your mother?" The girl with the glasses pointed toward the private room. Marcus looked. A woman stood inside. Tall, elegant, dark blue suit. Her hair was perfectly styled. She was surrounded by businessmen and lawyers. Marcus recognized her. Elena Hart, CEO of Hartwell Systems. A woman whose company had recently been valued at nearly $500 million. Marcus looked back at the girls. "Those are your sisters." All 4 nodded. "Are you quadruplets?" Another nod. "Okay." Marcus wasn't sure what else to say. Then the smallest girl pulled out a $20 bill. She placed it on his table. Marcus stared at it. "What is that?" "Payment." "For what?" She took a breath. "For being our dad." Marcus nearly spit out his coffee. "Excuse me." The girl with the pink glasses leaned closer. "We don't need you forever." Marcus blinked. "That's reassuring." "Just today." "Why?" The girls looked at each other. Then the girl with the stuffed rabbit whispered, "Because Daddy left." Marcus's expression softened. "I see. He left before we were born," another girl said. Marcus nodded slowly. "And you think I can replace him?" "No," the smallest girl shook her head. "We just need someone who knows how." "Knows how to what?" She looked down to stay. Marcus didn't answer, because that one word hit somewhere deep. Stay. It was something he had wanted people to do his entire life. The girl pushed the money closer. "We saved it." Marcus looked at the bill, then at them. "Where are your parents?" "Our mommy is inside." "And your father?" "He doesn't come." Marcus sighed. "I'm sorry." The girls lowered their heads. Then the smallest one looked up again. "Please." Marcus glanced toward their mother. Elena was still talking. She hadn't noticed. Marcus should have called her. He should have walked away. He should have told the girls to return to their mother. Instead, he heard himself say, "Okay." The girls smiled. "For 1 hour." Their faces fell, too. Marcus laughed. "Fine, too." The girls climbed into the chairs around him. And within 30 seconds, Marcus realized he'd made a terrible mistake, because they weren't interested in pretending. They wanted a real dad. "What does a dad do?" Marcus asked. The girl with the braids answered immediately, "Fixes things." Marcus smiled. "I can do that." "He makes breakfast." "I can do that too." "He checks under the bed." Marcus nodded. "That's important." "He says goodnight." Marcus paused. I can do that. The smallest girl smiled. Then you're hired. Marcus laughed. You're very serious about this. We've been practicing. Practicing what? Finding a dad. What? Marcus's smile disappeared. You've been doing this before. The girl nodded. Mommy keeps saying we don't need one. And you disagree. Four heads nodded. Why? The girl with the rabbit whispered. Because when everyone else has somebody. She looked down. We have each other. Marcus didn't know what to say. He had spent years teaching Noah that being a family of two was enough. But suddenly he wondered whether his son had ever felt the same emptiness. Before he could ask, a woman's voice came from behind him. Girls. Every child froze. Marcus turned. Alina Hart stood there. Her expression wasn't angry, it was frightened. Come here. The girls slowly stood. Alina looked at Marcus. I apologize. Marcus stood. They weren't causing trouble. I know. She glanced at the $20 bill. Her face changed. Where did you get that? We saved it, Lily said. Alina closed her eyes. Girls. But Mommy. No. The girls went silent. Alina looked at Marcus. I think you and I need to talk. Outside the cafe, rain tapped against the pavement. Alina crossed her arms. They've been asking about their father. Marcus nodded. They told me. He left before they were born. I figured. He hasn't contacted them once. Marcus looked toward the window. The girls were watching. That's cruel. Alina looked away. He made his choice. And you? What choice did you make? Alina looked at him. I chose them. Marcus nodded. But you're selling your company. Her expression hardened. How did you know? The girls told me. Alina sighed. I have no choice. Everyone has a choice. You don't understand. Then explain it. She hesitated. Finally, she said, my investors want me gone. Why? They think I've become distracted. Because of your daughters? Yes. Alina looked through the glass. They think a CEO raising 4 children alone can't make decisions under pressure. Marcus frowned. That's ridiculous. Maybe. She gave a tired smile. But if I don't sell, they'll remove me. And then what? We leave. Where? London. Marcus looked at the girls. They don't want to go. No, then don't make the decision for them. Alina's eyes filled with tears. I've been making every decision for them since they were born. Her voice broke, and I'm exhausted. Marcus didn't say anything. Alina looked at him. For 6 years, I've been both parents. Marcus understood, because for the last 2 years, he'd been doing the same thing. Neither of them had planned to raise children alone. Neither had expected to become the parent who stayed, and neither knew how tired they were until someone finally noticed. The next morning, Marcus received a phone call. It was Alina. Can you come to my office? Marcus hesitated. Why? Someone is trying to destroy my company. Marcus arrived at Hartwell Systems that afternoon. The building was enormous. Glass walls, security guards, executives rushing through hallways. Marcus felt like he didn't belong. Alina met him in a conference room. She placed 3 documents on the table. Someone leaked these. Marcus looked at them. Financial projections. Yes. Who had access? 7 people. Marcus studied the pages. When were they leaked? Tuesday night. Who was working? Security says nobody. Marcus looked up. Then security is lying. Alina stared at him. How do you know? Marcus pointed at a timestamp. This document was printed at 11:17 p.m. So, the printer was disconnected at 10:52. Alina went still. Marcus continued. Someone altered the records. A long silence followed. Then Alina whispered, Richard. Who? My COO. Do you trust him? I used to. That's not what I asked. Alina looked at the documents. No. That night, Alina confronted Richard Vale. He was calm, too calm. You're making a mistake, he told her. You've been leaking information. You're making a mistake, he told her. You've been leaking information. You can't prove that. Alina placed the altered documents on the table. Richard's expression changed. Then he smiled. You think this is about the company? Alina frowned. What does that mean? Richard leaned forward. You've spent 6 years protecting your daughters. He paused, and that's exactly why you'll lose. Alina's face hardened. Leave. Richard stood. You'll regret it. He walked away, but Marcus had been standing outside the conference room. He had heard everything, and one sentence stayed with him. That's exactly why you'll lose. Marcus suddenly understood. Richard wasn't trying to steal the company. He was trying to make Alina believe she had failed as a mother. Because if he could break her confidence, she would sell. The following morning, Marcus discovered something else. Richard had been watching the girls, not directly, through security cameras. There were repeated access attempts around Alina's home. Marcus immediately told Alina. She called security. They checked. Someone had been following the family. Alina's face went pale. Why would Richard do that? Marcus answered, because he's trying to scare you. Alina looked at her daughters. For the first time, she didn't look like a CEO. She looked like a mother terrified of losing her children. That night, Marcus stayed at the house, not because Alina asked, because the girls did. They refused to sleep. Lily sat beside Marcus on the couch. Are you leaving? No, promise. Marcus looked at her. I promise. She leaned against his arm. Then she whispered, my daddy promised too. Marcus froze. He did. Before he left, Marcus swallowed. What did he promise? That he'd come back. Marcus didn't know what to say. Lily looked up. He never did. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He looked at the clock, then at the sleeping girls. And suddenly he understood why they had chosen him. They weren't looking for a perfect father. They were looking for someone who would keep one simple promise. Stay. The next morning, Noah came over. He met the girls for the first time. Within 5 minutes, they were racing around the living room. Marcus watched them. Then Alina walked beside him. They really like him. They really like you. Alina smiled. I'm not used to people choosing me when they don't need something. Marcus looked at her. Maybe that's because you're used to being the CEO. And you? What about me? Why did you choose us? Marcus looked at the children. I didn't. Alina frowned. They chose me. And you said yes. Marcus nodded. Maybe because I know what it feels like when someone says no. Alina didn't answer. She simply stood beside him. For the first time, neither of them needed to say anything. 3 days later, everything exploded. Richard called an emergency board meeting. He had prepared evidence claiming Alina was mentally unstable under pressure. The board members watched videos of her crying, documents showing missed meetings, reports showing she had spent company money on childcare, and photographs of Marcus entering her home. Richard stood confidently. Ladies and gentlemen, this company needs a leader who can put business first. Alina sat silently. Marcus wasn't in the room, but then the doors opened. Lily walked inside. Everyone turned. She was holding a piece of paper. Her 3 sisters stood behind her. Alina stood immediately. What are you doing here? Lily walked to the table. She placed the paper in front of the board. It was a drawing, a house, 5 children, 2 adults, and a giant sun. At the bottom, in uneven handwriting, were the words, "This is what Mommy is building." Nobody spoke. Then Lily looked at the board. You keep saying Mommy isn't good enough. The room became silent. She is. She pointed toward her sisters. She takes care of all of us. Then she pointed toward Alina. She works. Then she pointed toward the door, and she comes home. Her voice shook. That's what a good mom does. One board member lowered his eyes. Lily turned toward Richard. And you don't. Richard stared at her. You don't know anything about business. Lily shook her head. No. She smiled sadly. But I know when somebody is mean. The room went completely silent. Then one of the board members stood. Richard. Richard turned. What? We're done. His face went pale. The investigation that followed uncovered everything. The fake security logs, the leaked documents, the competitors' payments, the surveillance. Richard was removed. Alina kept the company, but she didn't celebrate. That evening she sat on the floor of her living room. The girls were asleep upstairs. Marcus sat across from her. You won. Alina shook her head. I almost lost. But you didn't. She looked at him. Because you helped. Marcus smiled. No. Then who? Alina looked upstairs. The girls. Marcus nodded. Probably. She smiled, then she asked. Marcus. Yeah. What happens now? He thought about it. Now you stop trying to be everything. Alina laughed softly. That's impossible. No. Marcus looked at her. It's not. You don't know what you're asking. I do. He paused. You don't need to be a CEO at home. Alina stared at him. You don't need to be a superhero. She smiled. What should I be? Marcus answered quietly. Just their mom. Alina's eyes filled with tears. And you? Marcus smiled, just their dad. Alina froze. Marcus realized what he'd said. Neither spoke, then a tiny voice came from the stairs. Did you say dad? Marcus looked up. All 4 girls were standing there. Lily smiled. Does that mean we won? Marcus laughed. Alina laughed through her tears. And for the first time, the word didn't feel like a joke. It felt like home. 1 year later, Marcus still drank coffee at the same cafe, but he wasn't alone. Noah sat beside him. Alina sat across from him. And 4 girls filled the remaining chairs. There were crayons everywhere, pancakes on the table, and absolutely no peace. Marcus looked around. He remembered that rainy morning, the $20 bill, the little girl in the yellow raincoat, the words, "Please be our dad for just one day." He smiled. Lily pushed an envelope toward him. What's this? A present. Marcus opened it. Inside was a photograph, the 7 of them standing together. On the back, someone had written, "You didn't replace our dad." Marcus looked at Lily. She smiled. "You became ours." Marcus couldn't speak. Alina reached across the table and squeezed his hand. Noah grinned. Dad's crying. "I'm not. You are." The girls started laughing. Marcus wiped his eyes. "Okay, maybe a little." Lily leaned against him. "It's okay." Marcus looked around the table. Once, he had believed his life had become smaller after his family broke apart. He thought being a single father meant he had failed. He thought love was something people promised, and then took away. But those 4 little girls had taught him something different. Sometimes family doesn't arrive the way you expect. Sometimes it doesn't share your last name. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense at first. Sometimes it walks into a coffee shop carrying a $20 bill and asks you for one impossible thing: please stay. Marcus looked at Alina. She smiled. He looked at Noah, then at the 4 girls, and finally at the empty chair beside him. The chair that had once reminded him of everything he'd lost. Now it reminded him of something else, something he had never expected. There was always room for one more. Marcus lifted his coffee. To family. Everyone raised their cups. Lily corrected him. No. Marcus laughed. No. She shook her head. To staying. Everyone smiled. And as the rain tapped softly against the cafe windows, Marcus finally understood something he'd spent years learning the hard way. You don't always find the family you're looking for. Sometimes they find you. And sometimes, the 4 smallest people in the room can give a lonely man the biggest reason in the world to come home. A man, the biggest reason in the world to come home.